Welcome back, America. Julian Epstein, Israel's a democracy, defending itself, fighting Islamists and terrorists who've killed Americans here in continental United States, want to kill more Americans, want to overthrow the West, want to overthrow our economic system. And yet I feel the Democrat Party, and don't get me wrong, there's some of the Republican Party on the right that I deal with all the time, but I feel like the Democrat Party as an institution is moving in significantly and quickly in the direction of the bad guys. Am I wrong?
No, you're right. And there's no question about that. And you've seen the tolerance of anti-Semitism on university campuses, which should have been prosecuted under the hate crime laws, and Democrats didn't raise a peep. Although if the victims had been black or brown, you can be sure they would have sought to prosecute. But I think what is happening on the left, Mark, is because the Democratic Party coalition is crumbling, and particularly they are losing so many working class voters and every other major demographic, is that the party is starting to look for love in all the wrong places, including with the anti-Semitic, pro-terrorist sympathizing left, and they're sort of being indoctrinated, inebriated by this oppressor-oppressed ideology, with the Israelis being sort of the colonial oppressors and the Palestinians being the oppressed. And this is a half-educated, simple-minded way of understanding what's going on in the Middle East. Israel has always been for peace with the Palestinians. There have been at least 5 or 6 offerings where the Palestinians could have had all of Gaza, could have had all of the West Bank, could have had 2/3 of Jerusalem, and they have said no every single time, because the Palestinian movement is not about peace, it's not about land, it's not about living peacefully, it is about destroying Israel, and the left doesn't understand that. But what I think the peace deal, the brilliant peace deal that I think is Nobel worthy, that Donald Trump has struck, has not only exposed the Democrats and the far left following the wrong side morally on this, Trump has come up with an entirely new doctrine that has exposed the diplomatic class. So, you know, the diplomatic class under both Obama and Biden had this belief that the bad guys in the Middle East, the Hamas terrorists, Hezbollah, Iran, they're really just like us. And if we just do nice things to them, if we give them lots of money and acknowledge their legitimacy, they will join the rules-based order internationally. And this was an incredibly naive point of view that was pushed by the diplomatic class that is self-interested in this paradigm because it keeps them in business. And what Trump has done, which is just absolutely brilliant, is he said, we don't need this diplomatic class. This diplomatic class has authored us nothing but failure for the last several decades. What we need are 2 things. We need Ronald Reagan's peace through strength. And we will show the bad guys who wish nothing but the destruction of the West and blood from the Israelis and Jews and have no other motivation other than those 2 things, if you see clearly. We're going to speak to them through peace through strength, because that's the language, that's the vocabulary they understand. And they did that. And they did that by taking out Iran's nuclear. They did that by decapitating Hamas and Hezbollah and Bashir al-Assad, who had killed 600,000 Syrians without a peep from the protest left. They did that through the peace through strength. But then he did something that was very, very interesting as well. He said, you know, I don't need the diplomatic class. What I need is a businessman's sensibility, a real estate sensibility. So he went through the Gulf states and he said, you know what? If we're all doing business together, we're less likely to be killing each other. And he brought this brilliant insight, which I think is a part of the Trump doctrine. It adds to the Reagan doctrine of peace through strength. And he said, what we need to do to solve the problems in the Middle East is to begin working together, integrating as many of the Arab states in the Western economies as much as we can, under the belief that many of them really don't want to be engaged in jihadist wars. Many of them see Iran as the biggest threat. Many of them would rather be working with Israel than trying to slaughter Israel. And this was a brilliant insight that has not just brought peace, but portends a potential transformation, a pro-West, pro-peace transformation of the Middle East that the diplomatic class, particularly under Obama and Biden, was completely blind to. So not only has it exposed the racist, anti-Semitic elements of the far left. It has exposed the diplomatic class as being feckless, and it has brought an entirely new paradigm that I think will be worthy of the Nobel Prize and will be a model for diplomats and for countries to follow going forward.
Brilliant, absolutely brilliant points. And I agree 100% with you in your analysis of Donald Trump to Julian Epstein. If the Democrat Party listens to you, they have a real good shot. I fear they're not going to.
I fear they're not going to either.
God bless you, my friend. It's been a tremendous pleasure. You take care of yourself.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Thank you.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.